Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm like, is it the 13th or is it the 12th? But I'm still Solid Blue Sister. I hope everyone is doing well today. Wow, Minnesota. You're first today. Good to see you. Good to see you. And I am happy to say that it is getting a bit cooler in Southern California. And to anyone listening over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, thank you and welcome. And I'm going to stop it right here. Okay, so today I want to talk about social media. What would you do if social media did not exist? What would you do? What would you do? Well, would people actually do something constructive like read a book? And I mean a book, not, Kindle or an Audible book, but a book that you can hold in your hand and turn the pages. Would they volunteer? Would they engage with their family more? Would people know how to spell? And I say that because on social media, people don't know how to spell. They abbreviate everything. And even when they spell on social media, they still cannot spell, So if social media did not exist, with spelling and grammar, hey, Scooter, with spelling and grammar, would that be something that people actually knew how to do? That it wasn't something that happened like way back when, but it's actually something that people knew how to do. Would people write more letters? Do people even write letters at all? Oh, your favorite topic is grammar and spelling or social media? I'm talking to Scooter, guys. So seriously, what both? Okay. Would and I say, would grammar be better? The younger generation of today, and yes, the millennials, the Gen Zs, the Gen Xs, yes, I'm talking about you. They don't know what it's like to live in a world without social media. I mean, maybe the millennials do, sort of, but there were computers, back around in the 80s, whatever, the Dell computers, with the green screen that you turn it on. It took like an hour for it to start, but it was still a computer, But, what would you do if one day everyone's, iPhones, their Androids, their, MacBooks, their PCs, whatever you have, just stopped working? And you could not access a computer in order to get on social media? Or what if, all the TikToks and the Twitters and everything, what would you do? I mean, for me, I wouldn't have a podcast. But guess what? I have another life. I still have a lot of things that I can do and that I do. So, and Scooter says people need to learn how to communicate. That would be heaven. Scooter, let's talk about communication. Some people think social media, they are communicating. They are communicating. I mean, seriously. I mean, I remember when I still do it, but about 10 years ago, I used to always volunteer to take uh high school kids who didn't have rides back and forth to their basketball games, football games, whatever. For whatever reason, their parents worked or whatever. And they would be in my car, and I'm trying to have a conversation with them, and they're not listening to me, and they're like, well, you know we are talking. They're talking to each other in the same car on their phone. And I just started laughing. I said, is it because you don't want me to hear what you're talking about? And they're like, no, we do this all the time. And when they said that, I started to notice, like when I'm around younger people, that the person sitting right next to them and they're texting them. And you look at this and you're like, are you kidding me? You are kidding me, right? You are kidding me that you're literally doing this. Um, so I mean, I don't I don't get it. Scooter says, no. Sting, you're welcome. So I mean, if you were literally to take away, um, if you were literally just to take away social media, I think a lot of people, and when I say a lot, I'm talking about millions of people, I think they would lose their minds. I think that they would not know what to do if they couldn't tweet, text, TikTok, Spotify, whatever you want to call it. They would not know what to do. So, and Scooter says mental illness would be a lot less. Interesting. Interesting. So, would you say that because people are bullied on social media? Because I do believe that the bullying portion of it, especially with young people and young people in school, I think that would be a lot less because I think a lot of those kids are bullied through social media. Um, okay, and you're saying suicide would go way down. And again, Scooter, are you saying because of the bullying factor or people feel lonely? But a lot of people, I don't know. So Singer says, not if it disappears. Oh, you're saying not if it disappears. Okay, so Stinger. Okay, we're okay. Let's see what's going on here. Hey, Mama Bear. Okay, so people can't live without social media. Okay, so Stinger, are you saying that people may? And I'm just asking because I'm just trying to clarify here. Are you saying that people may commit suicide if social media disappeared? And then Scooter, I'm trying to figure out why you say that the suicide rate would go down. Okay, Singer says if social media would be gone tomorrow, a lot of people would go mental. Well, yeah, I do believe they would. They would go crazy. Okay, and then Scooter says too many people base their lives on what people say on social. Okay, let me read that again. Too many people base their lives on what people on social media think. Okay, so you and Stina think the opposite. You guys think the opposite. So, I'm sorry here. I'm just reading what you guys are saying. Hard to get 1 million likes in real life. Yes, okay, so take those same people though. If social media did not exist at all and no one ever knew what social media was, there would be no such thing as likes. I mean, yeah, you would be concerned, or some people would, that person doesn't like me, or, I'm going to a new school. I hope people like me, or, whatever. But I I tend to agree with Scooter. I tend to agree with Scooter. I do think that a lot of people would go crazy if social media were to go away. But I think social media is the cause of a lot of the problems that we're having. My question uh my question would be, um the people who are on TikTok who have those million followers because they're doing something crazy. They come on there and they're showing their boobs, or twerking, or just doing something outlandish. What type of person would they be if social media did not exist? Would they still do that? Because to me, those are people who are trying to get attention. You know, what would you? I mean, what would people do? And I'm going to go even one step further in this conversation and ask, what would people do if reality shows disappeared? And I'm going to ask, do you think that a reality show and social media are, kind of go hand in hand? Okay, and you say before AOL. Wow, Stenya, you are like going back to the day AOL. Um, and when AOL started, you didn't have likes. You just, you didn't have followers. And I had AOL. Yes, I am dating myself. Okay, and Scooter said going crazy would be a short term effect. I do agree. You mean if Are you saying you mean if I never existed, or you mean if it never existed? So okay. You mean if it never existed? Yeah, I'm saying if social media was just gone. If okay, I'm saying two things here. I'm saying what would happen if it didn't exist, if it just went away tomorrow? Like everyone knew what it was, they had their TikTok, they had all that, and then it was gone. Or what how would social what how would the world be if social media did not exist? How would the world be if social media never existed? Would people be able, people use social media for various things. They use it to get their agenda out. They use it to ask people to go to prom. You know, um, they use it for all different things. Okay, Scooter says no one would care if social media didn't exist. Okay. Yes, please take them off. Mama Bear says, well, I gave up without any of that. Well, I grew up without any of that. I would miss it. I enjoy talking to people from around the world. Okay. Take them out reality shows, that is. See, the kids today would go nuts. Yes, they would. I survived without social media for 45 years. A much better place. Less conspiracy theories. Interesting. People would be able to interact in real life. Yes, 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 they would. So again, you know, uh, um, hold on for a second here. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to turn my phone down. Um, okay, so these are the questions that I have. If social media did not exist the way it were today, would people like the Kardashians? Hey, Brina, welcome. Would the people like the Kardashians, would they be as rich as they are? Now, granted, I'm a I know they have their reality show, but social media, how much does social media play into how much money people make? You know, people who sell things, you know, would their stuff, be as popular? Would their items or products be as popular? if social media weren't there. I have an online business that I do not sell anything in stores or anything. It is doing extremely well. I would not be able to do that. I would be forced to put it in stores. So how much does social media count for a person's success? And if you took social media away and those people were already in the public eye, would they be as successful as they are? Polaroid pics, Stinger, you know, do you remember the pocket camera? I mean, seriously, I mean, when you look at stuff and you're talking about now I'm going to delve into you're bring up the Polaroid pics. So I'm gonna bring up a couple other things. Would people or companies like Kodak, would they still be around if social media, or is that more of a technology thing? Or I mean, how much does social media play into all of this? How much does social media play into technology and everything else? No problem, Scooter. No problems. Come back when you can. And I still have a Polaroid camera too. Okay. Would the internet still exist? You know what though, Stinger? I hope you still have that Polaroid camera, because I guarantee you is going to be worth money. A lot of old school stuff that us baby boomers have is worth some cha-ching ching. So what do you all think? How much does social media play into a company's success? How much does social media determine whether or not a company will make it or not make it? You look at things like stores like Sears, Welcome Grid. You look at stores like Sears, that a lot of people probably don't know used to be Sears and Roebuck when it first started, and then it just Sears bought Roebuck out, and now it was just Sears, and you still see a couple of Sears stores around. But if social media were not around, did that have something to do with a store like Sears or your Montgomery Wards? I know I'm dating myself here, and some of the other stores that don't exist anymore. Does social media have a play in that? Would Amazon be as popular as it were if it weren't for social media? Now, I'm not saying the internet, I'm saying social media. Okay, Mama Bear says, I miss Sears, none around here anymore. My Mama Bear, I have, and do not laugh at me, in my kitchen right now, I have a Kenmore refrigerator that I bought from Sears, and that thing is still going. And while my other friends have bought other refrigerators that have come and gone and they've had to replace, that refrigerator still works as though it is new. And Mama Bear says, no, it wouldn't. Social media kills everything, including people. Okay. Me too. Okay. Social media, Sabrina says, social media can be great for business, but it can also shape weak minds in a negative way. Okay, but Brina, when you say shape weak minds in a negative way, the way I see it, there are millions and millions of weak minds that are being shaped. Because social media, yeah. Brina says, I miss Sears too. Okay, thank you guys for liking the show. I mean, just again, how much, what would you do? I mean, because like I said, I think podcasts are social media. And I know a couple of you guys have said on my show before, and I've seen it, people say on other people's shows that, they have better relationships with people on Podbean than they do in real life. And that always fascinates me. because I do wonder, if let's go further and say the internet. If the internet did not exist, what type of world would we be living in? Would it be a much better world? You know, growing up, when my son, he's 22 now, growing up, I did to him what my mother, but my mother was a teacher, what my mother, made my sister and I do. I made my son every 2 weeks he had to write a letter to somebody. I don't care who it was to. He had to write a letter to somebody. I don't care if it was to me. I don't care if it was, to his dad. He had to sit down and write a letter to somebody. Then he had to address it and put it in an envelope. And yes, I even had him mail it, even if it was coming back to the same house for me or my husband. He had to do that. And I did that for two reasons. Number one, so he can learn, the skill of communicating through letter writing. Two, for spelling. And I'm gonna take it. And I left out the third one, cursive writing. To this day, my son's cursive writing just amazes me because it is beautiful. And he knows how to write cursive. Welcome, Elamo. I hope I pronounced your name right, and I apologize if I didn't. Welcome, Crucible. So that's one reason why I had him write a letter. I still write letters. When I send out uh, when people give me things and I send out thank yous, I send out thank you cards. I don't do this. I mean, yes, I may still send, and you give me a gift, I'll still text you and say, hey, thank you, whatever. But I still send you a thank you card. You know, um, I still send birthday cards. I mail them. I address them. And I just think that that's something, that people just don't do. So if you take the internet away, welcome Shelby. If you take the internet away, seriously, what would people do? Would this be a different world? And like I said, would people know how to spell? Would people know how to communicate? Because I'm telling you guys, the there, the THEIR, and the THEY''re, that kills me. Or the two and two, TOOTO and TTWO, that kills me. So Scooter says much better. You sound like that movie. It's a mad world. How many mats were in there? Were four mats or three? I think there were four. Stinger says more people are meeting from different places that never would have met in person. Yes, I agree, Stinger. But at the same time, didn't you all have pen pals? I had three different pen pals when I was growing up from different places around the world. Didn't you all have pen pals? And Scooter says, my kids have beautiful cursive skills as well. And I think, it's like you have a generation, either, because I think that the millennials and definitely the Gen X's and Gen Z's, they cannot spell. They cannot spell, and even, yes, Mama Bear, I always send a thank you card. Absolutely. And it does mean more. Okay, you guys are saying hello to each other. It is nice to get a physical card. Yes, it is. The text language drives me crazy. Yes. Education at its finest, Stinger says. Juju says, just mail out 3 nice cards to get well and one thinking about you. Yep. Da, da, da. Hey, Crucible, Spankies, pronunciation. Crucible. I'm sorry. That's funny. Oh boy. Oh, I'm so looking forward to you guys being on the show Saturday. Spanky and Scooter are going to be on Friendly Differences Saturday. So you guys want a good time because I know it will be. 12 noon Pacific. Let's see. Hold on, Crucible wants to come up. I had one in grade 5. You had one what, Mama Bear? I'm sorry, I'm missing things. Sting says social media shouldn't have affected the education system, but it did because the education system allowed social media in. They allowed the iPads and all that other stuff. They allowed that stuff in. Juju says, I had a pen pal in Africa. His name was Daryl. When Kennedy won, he didn't bother with me anymore. oh, let's see. Mama Bear says, I'm glad Logan can spell. I have to go to him how to spell some words. You know, one thing that we have in this house are our dictionaries, and we have encyclopedias. And when my son was in school, it was like pull out that encyclopedia, you know, and the dictionary, but I don't know how to spell it. Well, go to the dictionary. None of that. Well, can't I just look? Nope. Go to the dictionary. Learn how, because you learn how to spell by looking up words. Scooter says, gonna be a blast. Tune in. Yes, it will. Social media keeps me updated on all birthdays on face. Oh, okay, on Facebook. Okay. Um, I know, Scooter, you always come to Facebook when you watch our show. Pen Pal, Pen Pal, okay. Gigi says, I use different colored pens when I send out cards, always matching the color in the card. Oh, I still have a paper dictionary. I have so many dictionaries around this house. Crucible, I am coming. I'm trying to get through the comments. Stinger says, I wouldn't have gotten married. Damn you, Facebook. Mama Bear says, he is my dictionary. One teacher called Logan her walking the dictionary. And welcome, Shy Lady. Okay, Crucible, welcome.
Hello, Sal. Hello, everyone. Yeah, Sal, you are hitting all of the notes that all of my pet peeves of as far as spelling and poor use of grammar. But I'm stating the obvious here. But with all kinds of technology, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's a triple and quadruple-edged sword, and we got to take the good with the bad. But there has been a definite dilution of decorum in terms of how people communicate with each other. The spelling thing is a huge pet peeve of mine, and people these days, back when you were referring to paper dictionaries and encyclopedias and things like that, we had I'm not going to say image, but we had a reputation to protect as far as our intellect, our spelling, our grammar. People were judging us on that, and they were judging us harshly if we were poor in those areas. It just wasn't acceptable. Today, not only is it acceptable, it's almost celebrated. And you have words now that are deliberately misspelled for shorthand, and that has become the default spelling for a lot of people. It's almost as if you spell correctly, they're looking at you on the side of you must be an old man. You must be an old school person. You're spelling correctly. It's almost a derisive kind of a response. So I think there are a bunch of good things about social media, but it does take up a lot of our time. I try to think back just even 5 years ago, probably more recently, what did I do? Because I'm on social media a fair amount in my spare time. And I asked myself, what did I used to do to fill up all these hours? And I think I was more active. I worked out more. I read more books, not Kindle. I read more actual books. I volunteered more. I did all the things that we did back in the day when we didn't have this stuff. So, but I'm not a Luddite. I'm not going to say get rid of technology because it's causing us harm in these areas, but until there are consequences for the way people behave on social media, the way they spell, the way they talk, the way they treat people, until there's some fallout from that, I would not expect the needle to move very much.
Okay, all right. And I'm going to go to Mama Bear. I apologize if I miss you before, but you just popped up for me. So are you still there? Mama Bear, are you there? Oh, okay, we'll come back to her. Okay. Let's see. Everyone, I'm just going for everyone. Okay, I wouldn't have gotten married either, but then I wouldn't have Logan. Is that possible? Quadruple edged sword. Is that possible, Crucible? Quadruple edged sword?
It is now.
Go Crucible. Oh, Scooter, you just cracked me up. Um, I don't know, but now I want one. Is it for sale on social media? You the preacher. And Charlene says, Crucible, you're spot on. Yeah, just check out Scooter's bargains. I don't see. Okay, so she popped out. Okay, so all right. So I mean, but seriously, because when you just look at as social media, a couple years ago, welcome Emmanuel. A couple years ago, well, probably more than a couple, I was hiring people, and one thing that I insist is I'm old school. I want a cover letter. And I even put in the thing, if you do not provide a cover letter, I will not look at your resume. And even then, I am dating yourself. I would not look at it at all, because following directions, I want a cover letter, because a cover letter will tell me if you know how to communicate, if you know how to spell. And even when they came in for the interview, and I still do this now, you come in for an interview for me, I purposely give them a letter or something that is just totally jacked up, grammar, spelling, whatever, and I ask them to fix it. Some people, they fix it. Other people, it's like a deer with the what do you want me to do? Am I going to be on Word? Can I use my phone? I mean, literally, they don't know what to do, and I think that's sad. These are people who are old enough to have a job and to make money, but you cannot correct a misspelled word.
I think that is brilliant, Solid. I never would have thought of that, but not only are you catching people off guard and to see how they react with surprises, which is going to happen on the job or in front of a client or something, but you're signaling to them what your priorities are. And just the sheer panic you described on some of the faces of these people will tell you how deficient they are, and they know they're deficient. They've been conditioned to believe it's okay not to pay attention to those things. So when somebody has the audacity to say, I'm going to actually test you on this, or I'm going to put the spotlight on this, people panic, because we all know ourselves better than anybody else. We know what our strengths and our weaknesses are. So when your candidates are responding that way, that is all you need to know about how they feel about those skills.
And and that's what I'm saying. And let's see, Juju says you would hire me. I come from old school. And Scooter says if you can form a sentence, cover letters are a great tool. I mean, and it is because okay, and Stinger says I actually never had to need a resume to get to work. But even though there are, or back in the day, there were resume or cover letter books that you can basically, copy word for word, whatever. But and that's another reason why I'm like, okay, so go write this or go do this. And I mean, literally, some people don't even know what a cover letter is. I don't want some agency or some place like Monster or something, you know, doing some analytics, whatever, and just popping out, well, this person may be good, or this person may be good. I want to see everybody that comes through. I want to be able to pick and choose whatever. I don't care, especially if you have a job where you have to communicate with people. I cannot tell you, welcome Kiz. I cannot tell you how many times I have actually what do I want to say? I've been on the phone with someone in customer service, whether I'm, calling about one thing or another. And they uh you know, their grammar is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, and you represent the company. So I'm supposed to hire these people to work for me? Uh-uh. Nope. Scooter says, singing not much call for it in dancing. Brina says, trip them up by throwing in a weather effect. Effect. Very good. Very good. Very good. But even still, they get the WEA and the WHE wrong. Uh, resumes for dummies. So I mean, do you all think that I'm, being overboard? Because I don't think that I am going overboard, because if you're representing, because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, if someone says something, or the way you answer the phone or you represent my product reflects on me. You can have the best product in the world, but if the people who are working with you, if they're not some of the best, and grammar, I think, is like number one. Sorry. So, Crucible.
Yeah, I also, I mean, where we didn't get to this point overnight. These habits and these quote unquote skills have been either degrading or developing over the course of many years. This didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't happen overnight. So I'm wondering where were the parents? Where were the teachers? I mean, some of these people are so egregious in their use of grammar and their ability to spell. I'm not talking about you're never going to win a spelling bee. That's a whole different standard. I'm talking about, can you string two sentences together without looking like you're from a foreign country? And most people can't. So why has that been allowed to continue for so long? Have they been called on it and just can't fix it, don't want to fix it? There's been no consequences. I mean, the grades in the performances of kids these days are at an all-time low. And so where are the parents? And then lastly, where are the employers? People like you. Where is the accountability? Where are the standards? We do things around here this way. These are things that are important. If you don't think they're important, you can't work here. Where has the pushback been from society, collectively and individually, to say this won't stand? We didn't get here overnight, but we're here, and there's a lot of people who let it happen.
Okay, true. We did not get here. We did not get here overnight. But again, I'm just going to divert it a bit from the where are the parents, because I did go into the whole thing about spelling and stuff like that. But I still want to tie it back to social media. How much has social media changed? Let's see. Kids says the education system got relaxed. So again, how much has social media change the world? What would the world be like if social media, and again, I'm going to go as far as the internet, if those never existed? Would we have the things that we have with the people who are just, how much would the world be different? Because I do believe we would be living in a very different world. People who are elected would not be elected. Teachers probably wouldn't. Certain teachers would not have jobs. I just think that the world would just it would just be a different place.
You're right. It's almost impossible to calculate how different it would be, because it has changed so much so fast. I think that's what's caught a lot of people off guard. Not that it's changed so significantly, but significantly and so quickly. I think the world would be 180 degrees different than it is today. And there's a quote by Mike Tyson that's floating around the internet. I've heard it many times, and I'm sure he said it. He said, with social media, y'all got too comfortable talking smack and not getting punched in the nose. And obviously that's an extreme reaction, but what he's saying basically is you've all been allowed to get away with things that you would never do in person, face to face, on the telephone, in a public setting, in a social setting. You would never do these things, but you're doing them with regularity on social media. So I think that lack of face-to-face accountability, I think that lack of face-to-face accountability has contributed greatly to the discourse in this country, and Scooter typed it in the chat. He's spot on. It's corrupting the world. But again, I'm not a Luddite. I'm not going to say let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have some issues here, so let's get rid of it. But to answer your question, I don't think there's any way we could possibly measure how different this world would be. Let's face it. There was a different world just 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We're not talking about 50 years ago. This has been a fairly recent development. And again, it was the severity and the swiftness of how we got here. And so, yeah, I don't think there's any way to measure how different we would be if it weren't for social media.
Okay, now Kids says social media gave access to the world. Brina is giving Crucible a hand. Sting says, unfortunately, none of us would be here or know each other. Well, there are people on here that I would know, but and you are right, but is there another way? I mean, would it be so hard if we didn't know each other? Like, would it be so hard? Does that mean that you have to work a little bit harder to get to know someone else? I mean, how many people, and I will say I am guilty of this. I am guilty of this. I am guilty of this. I used to know someone's phone number like the back of my hand. Someone said, what's so-and-so's phone number, I would be able to tell you what that person's phone number was. Or if I were, going to dial it, I would know that person's phone number is. Now, I couldn't even tell you. I could not tell you. All I know is I looked the person's name up, in my phone. I click their name and I'm calling them. Welcome, Petty Deb. I still have a phone book with people's phone numbers in them, and even now, and some of you guys are on YouTube, you'll see me. Sometimes I'm writing with a pencil. I still use a pencil, as opposed to a pen, because I don't like crossing out whatever. I don't like that to be messy. So I like to use my eraser, and I'm using my paper and my pencil, whatever. But people don't even have that anymore. When I go grocery shopping, my shopping list is not on my phone. Number one, because I can't see it, but also because I have a paper, and I have my pencil. Well, in that case, I'm taking a pen to the market, whatever, and I am crossing off whatever. But even so, it's like, how much information do you have stored on your phone? I don't know. Let's see. Welcome, Patty. Welcome. Now people don't know. I only know one person's phone number. Okay. Right. I can't remember phone numbers at all now. Now it's a picture, and hopefully the right picture. Kids says social media allowed me to bridge international connections. Mine's on paper. Some people have what they consider their lives stored on a phone. Yes. Yes. So what do you do? I mean, people just, I understand where, we right here that we wouldn't know each other and have these conversations. Yes, I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, do any of you guys reach out to other people when you're not on social media? I mean, how many people actually, pick up the phone and call people? I mean, on my Facebook page on my personal Facebook page, which I have not been on probably in over a year. I have 35 friends. I don't even know how many friends I have on there. But I said that I was only going to, have people join or whatever on Facebook. People that I actually knew, people who I can actually pick up the phone and call. I'm not going to people who have I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. Do you really? Are they really your friends? Do you really know 5,000 people? Or are they a friend of a friend of a friend? Which I think is absolutely crazy. Why do I want to friend someone that I don't know? But at the same time, someone can say, well, if you go to TikTok or you go to Instagram or something, they are followers. Is there a difference between having a follower or a friend? Because to me, if you're my friend, if it says you're my friend, you're actually my friend. You're someone that I can talk to. So is there a difference? And like I think Stinger said, I think it was Stinger who said earlier, um, you can't get 1 million likes without social media. Okay. Kissa says, I don't remember the last, oh, Stinger says, because I don't remember the last time I wrote in cursive besides my name. You know, once again, I have my, if any of you guys, I have my notebook paper. Yes, I have my notebook paper. And I am constantly writing, and I'm writing in cursive, so I don't know. And Singh says, I try to keep everyone on Facebook actually know in life. Logan wrote his name for a few years now. So, I mean, what do you all think?
Well, one of the things I think you hit on, Solid, is it is not social media, but it is technology, and it's a form of social media. When I'm talking about texting, um, phone call. People used to have so many more phone calls, and I used to talk on the phone all the time with my friends. I rarely have phone calls anymore, and if I do, they might last 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the most. People's attention spans are so short these days. It is a social conditioning thing on the one hand, but it's also a cognitive conditioning thing. They've done studies on the brain, and your attention span wanes when you're doing these quick bursts of information as opposed to having long form conversations. So what ends up happening is our brains and our thinking apparatuses get truncated, and they almost get short circuited, and people are incapable, not to mention uninterested, in having actual conversations. Texting is so much easier. You can respond with one or two words if that's your thing, without going in any, and you can hide behind texting. You don't have to expend the effort to pick up the phone, have the conversation, spend 30 minutes of your life. This is supposed to be a friend of yours, right? So why wouldn't you take the time to call them? So I think texting is one of the biggest scourges of technology, is because of what it's done to our willingness and ability to talk to each other.
So let me ask you guys this: do you think that um, suicide among school age children, and I'm not saying high school, I mean your elementary school kids, either elementary or um, junior high. When I was growing up, we didn't have junior high. It was just kindergarten through eighth grade. You were in elementary school. So I have to remember to add junior high to that. Do you think that period from kindergarten through eighth grade, do you think if you were to take social media away, that there would be less suicides among that group of people?
If you're asking me, unequivocally, absolutely 100%. That's another really good point, Sal. The suicide epidemic has been fueled very much by social media and the lack of kids to be heard these days. You can't solve the kinds of problems kids in that age group have via texting or social media. These are face-to-face things. These are hands-on things. And I think an entire generation of kids has really suffered because of that. And there's really no getting it back, because, as I was saying a couple minutes ago, this kind of the way we communicate today, actually over time, and certainly with younger kids, rewires and almost reorders the brain, especially when you're young, in ways that are almost impossible to reverse. So yeah, that suicide thing, you hit the nail on the head, man. That's a big one.
Okay. And Scooter says yes. Mama Bear says poor spanking. If you're saying I missed that, Mama Bears. If you're saying poor spanking, is this something that Scooter said? Breen says I do think social media has something to do with it. It's so heartbreaking. The Stinger says suicide epidemic started with the opium crisis. Okay. And Mama Bear says someone told Logan to go kill himself, and then they were going to come here and kill his parents. It's sad. And I have to say, I am so glad that I was able to get through 18 years of my son not being on social media at all. I am so glad that I was able to do that. Um, I was telling him read a book. Read a book. So let me ask you what I was asking you guys earlier. Let's bring in reality shows. Are reality shows sort of, kind of, yes, no, they're not, yes, they are, like social media? How much do reality shows shape someone's life? If you're looking at the Kardashians, you have all these young girls who want to dress a certain way or wear certain things, or wear all this makeup, whatever. How much does social media, I'm sorry, how much do reality shows change change how we are? When you have a reality show, that is, what is it, teen Mike, the one with the teenage parents. I can't remember the name of the show, but when you have reality shows like that, you know, um, how much do reality shows affect how society is? And what would happen if every reality show on TV, which I know they're never going to disappear, but if every reality show on TV just went away or never existed, how much would the world, change, or how different would the world be?
Well, I think the quality of those shows and what they're displaying and what the entertainment, I'm using that in air quotes, whatever the nature of the show is, it's almost always, and this is my own personal opinion, and no disrespect to people who like those shows. It always seems kind of inane. The people seem a little dysfunctional. Is that a window into what goes on in the world? Sure, there's a lot of inane, dysfunctional people in the world, but it's normalized on these reality programs. And even like I think Brina typed in, and I typed in that there's not much reality to these shows, but to the right audience, you can see yourself in that situation. You can aspire to these things, and the things that you're aspiring to are not particularly admirable. So I'm not a fan of reality shows, but I watch things that other people might say, how could you watch that? So I'm not going to throw stones at people who like those shows, but you asked the question, have they contributed, or what have they contributed to society? And I'm going to say, I give you the Kardashians. I mean, that's Exhibit A, and God bless them for the money they've made, and they haven't done anything immoral or illegal, as far as I know. So good for them. They became billionaires. But did they do anything productive, interesting, meaningful? By my standards, no. But by other people's standards, they want to be the Kardashians. So are those the role model that we should be putting out there for our kids? And I would say probably not.
Okay, so when you say role models, then um, do reality shows? I mean, if some people are saying that social media, and reality shows are the same thing, then and Shelby says teen moms promote teens to get pregnant. In my opinion, and yes, Scoot, it was 616 and pregnant. That's the show that I was thinking of. So, do reality shows, or should reality shows have a responsibility to be a role model?
That's an interesting question. I guess the short answer would be no. No, they don't have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to entertain. And if you don't like what they're providing as entertainment, you obviously change the channel. So no, to answer your question, they don't have a responsibility to do that. They just have a responsibility to entertain and attract an audience. The role model thing, I guess, would be a secondary or ancillary thing that would come with it. But no, I don't think any of these people, anybody who puts on a TV show, period, reality or otherwise, I don't think their first thought is role model.
Okay, so then let me ask this. I'm going to switch it up a bit. Um, then why does society expect, say, some of our athletes, some of our politicians, some of our teachers, whatever? The first thing they'll say is, well, you should be a role model. But if you're, on TikTok, or, you have a reality show on TV, and that, people watch you, and you're making all this money, and you have all these viewers, why can't I expect you to be a role model? If you're expecting that basketball player or that football player or hockey player to be a role model, you're expecting that teacher or that politician, or that priest, whatever, to be a role model, because they are in the public eye, or they're serving the public. Can't I expect you, this reality person, to be a role model?
Well, I think the things that have happened in the past, and I just remember it growing up as a kid, and I was a big sports fan, and I had certain players on teams that I idolized, and I put them up on a pedestal. These people couldn't do any wrong. Same with some actors, and then over time they are revealed to be the flawed human beings that they are, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, how could Mickey Mantle? It turns out he was a roaring drunk, and he would show up to games all the time hungover, and he turned out to be one of the best players ever. And I think, how could that be? I'm a kid, and I'm like, how can? And I'm trying to process all this stuff, and then it finally dawned on me when I got older. It's like, I was the one who was wrong for trying to make these people role models. They're regular human beings that may have some extraordinary skills or some attributes that I don't have, but they're not role models. I mean, they can do things that we can admire and aspire to, but they're also going to do things that disappoint us. But it kind of goes back to your original question: is it the responsibility of anybody to be a role model? I think that's something that is a nice thing to shoot for, but isn't their responsibility? And it's the old saying, men have feet of clay. They're flawed people. So you're really kind of setting yourself up for a fall or disappointment by putting up human beings as almost like deities, or people who should be infallible. And when they fall, we're shocked and disappointed, when that's what we should expect out of human beings. So you got to be careful with your role models. There's nothing wrong with aspiring to somebody who has qualities that you admire, but they're human beings at the same time.
Okay. All right. And Kiss says, nope, parents have responsibilities. Scooter says, people love drama. Equals social media is drama. And thank you, everyone, for liking the show. Kiss says, different strokes for different folks, right? Yep, most definitely. But I will say y'all, the one reality show that I do watch, and I have a friend, we are on opposite sides of the spectrum. Even on this show, we totally disagree. I do watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because the drama on that show, I that just makes me just laugh so much. But yeah. Let's see. Shelby says, a lot do, yet they now they are more criminals than Joe from down the street that has a clean record. That is true. But we love the drama from the fall. And me too. I'm sorry, but Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I literally sit there going, seriously, really, So, but yeah, guys. So I'm just going to start to wrap it up. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add? Crucible, you have anything you want to add, or anybody in the chat want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, this is another good topic, Solid. I mean, it really is something that we confront every day. And like a lot of things these days, there's good and bad. I think if we can focus on, not to sound like a Pollyanna or anything, but a lot of people were typing in the chat, and you've mentioned it. There are lots of, the glass is half full in a lot of ways with technology. We've met people on here that we wouldn't otherwise know. Facebook and the rest of it. Anything taken to an extreme is going to have a backlash to it, and technology, it just ran its course in that particular area. But I'm trying to look at the benefits of social media. The negatives are legion. They're as long as our arm. We've talked about them at length here. But I do think there are some good things about social media. It's like anything else. It's like drinking. It's like eating, greasy food. Moderation. That's not an easy thing to do because of the way these technology companies set up these algorithms, and they feed on our addictions to these different videos and these different platforms. So it's a very difficult thing to do in moderation, but I don't think we should ever stop eating fast food, stop drinking beer or anything. Just make it a appropriate place in your life, and I think there's a lot of good there.
Okay. And Stina says, after so many years, I figured it's pointless to watch other people's lives. Rather have my own. Stina, hello. Yes, yes, yes. So, and guys, thank you so much, for liking the show and saying that it was a good show, because you guys, again, like I say, if you guys were not here, I would not have a show. No problem, Shelby. I understand that people do have other lives. So everyone, you know, um, this was a good topic. Not trying to pat myself on on the back or anything, but I've just always wondered what other people think. I mean, I pretty, kind of knew what some, people think, but I would love to have this same conversation with Gen Zs and Gen Xs, or even, let me have this conversation with a group of of high school kids. I'm pretty sure that the conversation would be completely different. It would be completely different only because um, where they are and where we were is completely different. So on that note, I am going to end the show. And I appreciate you guys coming. Um, Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about squatters. Squatters, for anyone who you do not know, I'm talking about people who just move into somebody else's house. When the person's not there, whatever. Just make it their home. So I want to talk about that. So other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. Go where the wind takes you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. And Crucible, thank you for popping up. Bye. Y'all be safe. Take care, everyone. What did Scooter say, Mama Bear? I missed that one too. Oh boy, but he's laughing at it. And you guys, Saturday the 18th, 12 noon Pacific time. Spanky and Scooter will be guests. There is no topic. Well, I do have a topic or a subject I want to talk about, but technically there's no topic because I just think there's just going to be a good show with the two of them. Just something fun and lighthearted, and to make you laugh. And Scooter, I apologize for missing Cold Blue the last couple of weeks, but I have been traveling. I have been so busy. So thank you, everyone. Read a book.